Good evening, Miss Nurhati. This is our group 10 presenting about critical perspective. First, let me introduce our group. This is our group. My name is Nathaniel Faren, and this is my partner.
My name is Aidan Kamila. My name is Vivian.
And I hope you enjoy our presentation.
First, what is critical perspective? A critical perspective on a form involves analyzing its themes, language, structure, and literary devices to understand its deeper meanings, cultural context, and artistic significance. It may involve in exploring the poet's intentions, examining how the poem resonates with different audience, and considering its relevance to broader literary traditions or movements. Critical perspective
Very.
can vary widely depending on the reader's background, theoretical approach, and interpretive lens.
Why we do critical perspective is about looking at various sides or perspectives instead of just one's own without judgment, but with intent to gain and better and deeper understanding of something.
And today we are going to analyze the Emily Dickinson's poem, specifically the ones titled After a Great Pain, a Former Feeling Comes.
First, who is Emily Dickinson? Emily Elizabeth Dickinson, born in December 10, 1830, and died in May 15, 1886. Was an American poet, little known during her life. She has since been regarded as one of the most important figures in American poetry. Dickinson was born in Amherst, Massachusetts, into a prominent family with strong ties to its community.
And this is the notable poems of Emily Dickinson's. First, we have The Hope is the Thing with Feathers that was released in 1891. Hope is the Thing is a lyric poem in ballad meter written by American poet Emily Dickinson. The manuscript of this poem appears in fascicle 13, which Dickinson compiled around 1861, but the poem itself was released in 1891. The second is Because I Could Not Stop that was released in 1890. It's a lyrical poem by Emily Dickinson, and that was first published posthumously in Poems Series 1 in 1890. And the third is Success is Counted Sweetest in 1864, is a lyric, also another lyric poem by Emily Dickinson that was written in 1859 and published anonymously in 1864. The poem uses the images of victorious army and one dying warrior to suggest that only one who has suffered defeat can understand success. And also, lastly, there is a pain so utter, published in 1929, is a poem written by Emily Dickinson. It was not published during her lifetime. Like many Dickinson poems, it was substantially changed when it was first published in 1829. 1929, yes.
So this is the poem that we're going to analyze about it. After great pain, a formal feeling comes, written by Emily Dickinson. After great pain, a formal feeling comes. The nerves sit ceremonious like tones. The stiff heart pressure was the teeth that worked, and yesterday or centuries before. The feet, mechanical, go round a wooden way of ground or air or earth, regardless ground. A quartz contentment like a stone. This is the hour of life. Remember, is outlived. As freezing persons, we collect the snow, first chill, then stopper, then the letting go. Oke, instan banget. The writer of this poem states in the first line of the first verse that after experiencing a great pain, one experiences a formal feeling. Although this is ambiguous, it does indicate to the reader that the writer will be concentrating on the fallout from tragedies. The line's most mysterious element is the usage of formal feeling. What kind of feelings are formal? One could wonder. Maybe ones that are controlled and confined and, and permit to be in public. The second line, which uses a simile to compare one's nerves to thumbs, supports this. Like a cemetery, they are chilly and immobile. The speaker asks the inquiry of the heart by personifying it in the following sentences. It poses the question while it's not quite apparent who he is, the uppercase H usually refers to God. The writer is unsure of when the pain actually occurred or if it was he that bore. It might have happened millennia ago or just recently.
In the second stanza carries on with the sensation of being stiff or frozen. Another component of the human body, the feet are stated to go round automatically in this instance. This is rather obvious. After a loss, they move without much consideration. One appears to operate automatically, lacking self-control. The movements of the feet are wooden. The movements are wooden. In addition, they can travel through the air, the ground, or finally out. This is a perplexing addition to the sentence that can allude to what one ought to be doing. This would be related to the body's mechanical motion. The writer describes something that is obscure in the last two lines of this poem as growing regardless. There wrong.
Dari nothing. Kalau kamera roll action.
Nothing stopped, despite the horror that obscured. Dickinson may have been referring to the way they fit on the era's overall emotionlessness. The final line, which refers to the stone called quartz and state of happiness, is the most ambiguous. This has a clear connection to the poem's opening lines, the tone allusion, and the overall chilly atmosphere. It's possible that the writer was considering settling into
This calm, emotionless
emotionless condition and being satisfied there like a
stone.
stone. The entire universe would seem indifferent to one.
The precise period of time following morning is referred to as the hour of lit. In the last three verses, lit is a chilly, weighty substance that blends in wonderfully with the other image. The hours were seen on the body and mind. Even if the word hour is used to refer to the time, it is not guaranteed to pass. Perhaps it won't be outlived. Dickinson creates a liminal place in the final lines where one is neither quiet, alive, nor dead. They are breathing person who access do. In his lines, she draws a comparison between death and the sense of loss and the stupor it might induce. It happens in stage. First, there's the numbness and then the cold, interspersed with her signature dashes of death.
So, what is the conclusion of the poem? After a great pain comes a former feeling. So, Emily Dickinson tried to tell a story about tragedy, about how painful it was for humans to experience it. It even felt numbing to an extent. It felt like you were on the verge of death, waiting on death's door because of the pain was too much to bear. it killed you from within, making you numb as you lost your emotions due to grief. You started to question whether it was God Himself that created the pain, or was it the fruit of your labor. So the author questioned whether it was the act of God, or even because of what He did, so he experience the tragedy itself. And yet, no matter how painful it was, humans will always move past it. I think the poem itself tells a story about that. After, like in the title itself, after a great pain comes a form of feelings, refers to the feelings of being able to feel like a normal person again after a great pain. I've seen it on the last line: first chill, then stopper, then the letting go. At first, you will experience unbelievable pain. It destroyed you. But just like everything, so too will pass. You will be okay as long as you are still alive. Everything will be okay. I think that is the conclusion, that the message that the Emily Dickinson tried to tell to its reader about everything is at the end of the day is going to be okay. So that is all for our presentation. We are sorry if we have any mistakes, but thank you for your attention. Group 10 signing off. Thank you, and thank you for watching. Bye.
Jangan lupa subscribe.